Hello dear students, welcome to today's class. Exactly today what we are going to discuss, look at here. The relation between the zeros and the coefficients. Very important. And after this, we'll try to solve the questions from the exercise. What is the relationship between the zeros and coefficient? First, I'll maintain the formula. Which formula is required for this relationship between zeros and coefficient? This is what ax square plus bx plus c. This is the quadratic polynomial. It's quadratic polynomial. These are called the real coefficients. Especially this is called the constant, which is independent of x. There is a constant, and these are called the coefficients. So what is the relation between these coefficients and the zeros? What exactly zero? I told you. Zero, in the previous class, I told you what do you mean by zero. The meaning of zero is nothing but the value of x. So what x gives me, that is the value of the zero. Now this example, this can be explained by taking one example. So what exactly this zeros and how to find the relations. For this, let me do one problem. First of all, let me write the formula, or else we can do like an example. If it is given x square plus 10x or 2x square plus 10x or 7x plus 5. In this polynomial, we are going to find what is the zero of the polynomial and I am adding something. Verify the relation between the zeros and the coefficient. So what exactly we are going to find? What is the zero of this polynomial and verify the relation between the zeros and the coefficient. Understood? Let me write the question. Find the zeros and verify the relation. So let me write the complete question. So what is the question? Find the relation, find the zeros and verify the relation. Verify the relation between zeros and coefficient. And the question what I have written, that is 2x square plus 7x plus 5. So my first attempt is I have to find out what is the zero of the polynomial. Let me find 2x square plus 7x plus 5. So what is the first step I told you? The first step what I have told you, you just multiply the coefficient of x square and the constant. Multiply. 2 5s are 10. 10. This 10, if I try to find the factors, I am getting 2 and 5. Now this middle number I have to split. 2 plus 5. Will it give me 7? Yes, of course. So these are the two numbers what I am getting. 2 and 5. 2 plus 5 is 7. Again, one more thing I have to check. Already I have told you. 2 5s are 10. And here also, if I multiply, I am getting 2 5s are 10. If you multiply these two, 2 5s are 10. Here also if I multiply, I am getting 2 5s are 10. If you add these two numbers, 2 plus 5 is 7. The middle number is 7. So these two are my perfect numbers. So instead of this one, 2x square plus instead of 7x, let me write these two. 2x plus 5x plus this 5. Now, so I am finding the zeros. Okay. So the common is 2x. In this I can take the common 2x, x plus 1. Here I can take the common 5. Again I am getting x plus 1. So the common is x plus 1, x plus 1 into 2x plus 5, x plus 1 and 2x plus 5. Let me find the zeros. If I find the zeros, what I am going to get? X plus 1 equals to 0 and 2x plus 5 equals to 0. This gives me x is equals to minus 1 and this gives me 2x is equals to minus 5, whereas x is equals to minus 5 by 2. In fact, what I got? I got the first part of the question. Find the zeros. This part of the question is finished. I got the zeros. What are the zeros? Minus 1 and minus 5 by 2. As I told you, if you are finding the zero means you are finding the value of x, and x value I got finally. So my first part of the question is over. Now I'll proceed further. What is asking? Verify the relation between the zeros and a coefficient. Now I am going to verify the relation between the zeros and coefficient. How to verify? For that, these two zeros, what we are getting, those two are called this x value, those zeros symbolically. In mathematical language, symbolically, the zeros be used as a alpha and a beta. Repeat after me. What is that? Alpha and beta. Alpha and beta, these are nothing. The symbols, mathematical symbols used to denote zeros. आपका यहाँ जो zeros आया, इसको हम डिनोट करते हैं एक अल्फाबेट्स, नॉट अल्फाबेट्स, इट्स symbols. Those symbols are called alpha and beta. Most of the students are getting confused. What are these alpha and beta? These alpha and beta are nothing. These are the symbols we use for denoting zeros. मतलब x की वैल्यू यहाँ तक इसका जर्नी खत्म. यहाँ से ये दोनों का लीडिंग रोल जो लेने वाले वो है अल्फा बीटा. दैट मीन्स दिस जीरो x is equals to minus 1 I got. This zero I can take as alpha, means I can write alpha is equals to minus 1, beta is equals to minus 5 by 2. Or you can write this alpha is equals to this one, beta is equals to this one, up to you. You can take this as alpha, this as beta, or you can take this as alpha, this as beta. Now let alpha is equals to minus 1 and beta is equals to minus 5 by 2. Now the formula is sum of the zeros that can be written as alpha plus beta. Because what are these alpha and beta? These alpha and beta are nothing but the zeros. Sum of the zeros. So zeros actually what I have taken? Alpha. Again I repeat. This value of x, what I got? This one I take as alpha and this one I take as beta. This alpha beta is nothing. No headache. This x value what you got? One you take as alpha and one you take as beta. Always. So sum of the zeros means these two zeros I have to add. So symbolically I can write like this also. Alpha plus beta. This is called the sum of the zeros. But this sum of the zeros will be always equals to minus b by a. What exactly this b and a? This b and a are nothing but b is the coefficient of x. Let me write here the general form so that you will get clear. Is it the general form of the quadratic polynomial? Yes. This coefficient of x square is your a, coefficient of x is your b, and the c, the third one, is nothing but this is called the constant. So here what I have written? Minus b. Minus b means minus coefficient of x. Okay, what is this b? Coefficient of x. So if you want, you can write like this also, minus coefficient of coefficient of x. What is that? Coefficient of x. So let me write here, because here I am not getting space. So sum of the zeros, sum of the zeros, sum of the zeros, that can be written as alpha plus beta. If you are not writing here alpha plus beta also, no problem, directly also you can write. If alpha beta word you are not using, no problem, but if you use, it's better. Sum of the zeros, if you are not writing also alpha and beta, it's better, but it's better if you write sum of the zeros alpha plus beta is equals to minus b by a. So what is your b? Let me repeat. What is b? B is nothing but coefficient of x. Coefficient of x by, what is your a? From here you can check. You can tell me what is your a, what is your b, and what is your c. From this, my a is nothing but coefficient of x square. What is a? Coefficient of x square. What is b? Coefficient of x. What is c? Constant. So therefore I have written b minus b. B is what? Coefficient of x. By what is your a here? A, coefficient of x square. Right here, it's a coefficient of x square. So this is the formula what for the verification. Sum of the zeros. What are the zeros I got? Minus 1 minus 5 by 2. Minus 1 minus 5 by 2. This is the sum of the zeros. Okay. Is equals to minus, what is the coefficient of x? Coefficient of x, you know this one. What is the coefficient of x? Look at here. Coefficient of x, 7. Getting? Right. Minus 7 divided by coefficient of x square. So what is the coefficient of x square? 2. Okay. If you are not writing minus b by a, no problem. It doesn't matter. So what I am written? Sum of the zeros. What are the zeros I got? The zeros are minus 1 minus 5 by 2. So minus 1 minus 5 by 2. That means you can think like this also. Alpha, what I have taken alpha? Minus 1 only. What I have taken beta? Minus 5 by 2. Okay. Minus 1 minus 5 by 2 is equals to minus of coefficient of x. Minus of coefficient of x. X coefficient is what? Look at here. Coefficient of x is 7. So minus 7 by coefficient of x square. X square coefficient is 2. So what are you getting? If I simplify this one, this will be minus 2 minus 5. I think both the sides are equal. Minus 7 by 2 is equals to minus 7 by 2. Verified. Check the relation between the zeros and coefficient. Both the answers are equal. Okay. Now, if anyone gets confused, simplest thing is don't write all this. Very simple way you can do without any doubt. See, without any doubt. Only the formula you have to remember. What is the formula? Simple thing. I combined both. Now I write the simple formula. What is the simple formula? This one is the heading. Sum of the zeros. Direct you can write the formula. What is the formula? Minus of coefficient of x by coefficient of x square. That's all. Sum of the zeros. What are my sum of the zeros? My zeros are these two, right? Minus 1 and minus 5 by 2 is equals to minus sign, right? Minus sign. Coefficient of x. Coefficient of x coefficient is 7. 7 by coefficient of x square. Coefficient of x square is 2. Now if you check, you are getting both the sides are equal. Minus 2 minus 5 is equals to minus 7 by 2, and hence sum of the zeros, relation between the zeros and the coefficient verified. Again of the same type, product of the zeros. This was the sum. Now product of zeros. Product of the zeros is equals to, like this, the formula what you have to remember. What is the formula? It's a constant term. Remember the formula. Constant term by coefficient of x square. Coefficient of x square. This is for the product. For the sum, minus coefficient of x by coefficient of x square. For the product, this is for what? This is for sum of the zero. For the product of the zero, constant term by coefficient of x square. Constant term by coefficient of x square. Now, product of the zeros. What the zeros we are having? We are having these two. Product means I will multiply. Product का मतलब multiply करना किसको? Zeros. Minus 1 into minus 5 by 2 is equals to constant term. Look at it. What is the constant term? This is my constant term. 5 by coefficient of x square. What is the coefficient of x square? 2. 5 by 2. Minus into minus plus 1 into 5 by 2 is your 5 by 2 is equals to 5 by 2. Verified. Now the checking is over. Look at it. Sum of the zeros and coefficients. When zeros and coefficients are equal, zeros and coefficients are equal. So this is very important, this type of questions for your examination. How to find zeros and how to verify the relation between the zeros and a coefficient. Now one more questions I do, so that this will be fully clear. Maybe few doubts you are having. If I do the next question, definitely your concept will be clear. Now let me take one more example for finding this zeros and for verifying the relation between the zeros and coefficients. Second example I am taking for finding the zeros and for finding the relation, for verifying the relation between the zeros and coefficients. I hope you are getting. Remember this only two formula. If you remember this entire question, you can solve. There will be no problem for this type of questions. While doing the exercise, definitely you will get, without any doubt, you can do the problems. Now let me one more question. That is, I have to find the zeros and I will verify the relation. Let me take one question. For x square plus 2x plus 1. What I am going to find? I am going to find the zeros and I am going to verify the relation between the zeros and the coefficients. So first I will find the zeros. So what is the way I told you? Multiply the first and last. Coefficient of x square, that is 1. 1 into 1, 1 only. Very simple. This is the very simplest one. 1 1 ja 1 only. 1 plus 1, 1 plus 1. Am I getting 2? As I told you, this is called the splitting method. Means this middle term must be splitting into two parts. 1 plus 1, 2, and 1 into 1. Here also I am getting 1 1 ja 1 only. If you multiply these two, what answer you are getting? If you multiply these two, coefficient of x square and a constant, if you multiply these two, what answer you are getting? This one if you multiply, your answer must be exactly equal. Then only these two numbers are perfect numbers. Let me repeat. 1 plus 1 anyhow 2, that is the middle term. ये दोनों को प्लस करो तो मिडिल वाला टर्म्स आना. Second, if you multiply this to 1 into 1, 1 1 1, that must be again the answer of these two. Coefficient x square 1, 1 into 1, 1. Here also I am getting 1 1 1. That means these two are my perfect numbers. So write x square instead of this one. I will not write this one because I am splitting 1 plus 1 means 1x plus 1x. We can write 1, no problem, plus 1. Take the common, x into x plus 1 plus 1 into x plus 1. These two are common, so let me take x plus 1 and x plus 1. To find the zeros, I can take x plus 1 equals to 0, again x plus 1 equals to 0, or x is equals to minus 1, x is equals to minus 1. So what are my zeros? I got the zeros. What are the zeros? Zeros are minus 1 and minus 1. Both the zeros are equal. This x value I got minus 1 and minus 1. That means instead of x, if you write minus 1, this polynomial becomes 0. Therefore, these two are called the zeros of the polynomial. So what are my zeros? My zeros are minus 1 and minus 1. Now I will verify the relation. Now the second term is I am going to verify the relation between zeros and coefficient. So for that, what I told you, very simple. First I will take sum, second I will take product. Now sum of the zeros. This is the only technique, nothing else. Sum of the zeros. Immediately write the formula instead of a coefficient. Minus coefficient of x divided by coefficient of x square. This you have to remember. Sum of the zeros is equals to minus coefficient of x by coefficient of x square. You have to remember this one. Sum of the zeros. Sum of the zeros. What are my zeros? My zeros are these two. These two right here. These are the two zeros. Sum of the zero means what? These two zeros, what I am getting, I am to the sum is equals to minus sign as it is. Okay, minus coefficient of x. Look at here. What is the coefficient of x square? Coefficient of x square is 1. So right here 1 by coefficient of x square. What is the coefficient of x square? Coefficient of x over coefficient. Oh, sorry, 1 minute. Coefficient of x is coefficient of x is 2, not 1. 2. Coefficient of x over divided by coefficient of x square. What is the coefficient of x square? 1. Minus 1 is your minus 2 is equals to minus 2. I think both are equal. Therefore, sum of the zeros is equals to minus coefficient of x divided by coefficient of x square. You can write this minus sign here also, no problem, no objection. Minus coefficient of x divided by coefficient of x square. So this part is your which part? Sum of the zero over. Second part is your product of the zeros. Product of the zeros. The formula, like similarly what you written here, like that. The formula is constant term. What is it? Constant term divided by the coefficient of x square. For the sum, this is the formula. Minus of coefficient of x by coefficient of x square for the sum. For the sum of the zeros. Sum of the zeros. Sum of the zeros minus coefficient of x by coefficient of x square. You must remember. There is no other way. Sum of the zero minus coefficient of x by coefficient of x square. Product of the zeros constant term by coefficient of x square. Product of the zeros. What are the zeros? Here -1 multiply. Product मतलब multiply करना, so multiplication is equals to constant term. Here look at here, what is your constant term? One only, 1 by coefficient of x square. Coefficient of x square, what is the coefficient of x square? Coefficient of x square is here, coefficient 1 minus and minus plus 1 in 1 is 1 is equals to 1, therefore verified. So what are the steps required for verifying the relations? First is finding the zeros. For finding the zeros, what we are going to do? For finding the zeros, we have to factorize. How to factorize? If 3 terms are there, split the middle one को split करना. How to split? I told you in the beginning. First number, first coefficient of x square into constant, these two you have to multiply करे तो यह आया 1, फिर उसका फैक्टर्स निकाल. अब ये जो splitting terms, this will give me 2 number. Those 2 numbers are here. Then from here you can get it. In this I got the zeros. If I got the zero, my half of the problems over. Next, the relation between the zeros and coefficient. For that you must remember these two you must remember. Sum of the zero minus coefficient of x by coefficient of x square. Product of the zeros constant of by coefficient of x square. Very simple. Sum of the zero very clear. What the zeros you got, you must do the sum. These are zeros, sum. This side and this side, both the sides answer must be equal. Finally, after summing up all, what I can write, that will help you for your MCQ. Anyhow, I'll do these two. If I write in symbolically, formula what it becomes? This becomes alpha plus beta is equals to minus b by a, and alpha into beta is equals to c by a, which is very, very important. In fact, this is nothing, this one only I am writing. Here no symbols. I didn't use any symbols only. ये हम symbols कुछ use ही नहीं करें. Actually sum of the zero can be written as like this. ये जो sum of the zeros है उसको symbolically मैथमेटिकल सिंबल्स में हम ऐसे लिखते हैं, अल्फा प्लस बीटा. सो सम ऑफ द जीरो इज नथिंग बट अल्फा प्लस बीटा माइनस कोएफिशिएंट ऑफ x is nothing but your b, coefficient of x square is nothing but your a. So finally, actually what exactly formula you did not write here. In this we don't write. This formula will be highly applicable while doing the problems of different type, what I am going to do afterwards. So alpha plus beta is equals to minus b by a, alpha into beta is equals to c by a. Exactly what is this one? This is the symbolical notation of these two. ये जो दो हम लिखे उसका सिंबल है, ये कुछ अलग फॉर्मूला नहीं है, सिंबल. ये दोनों का मैथमेटिकल सिंबल यूज करिए. समटाइम्स दिस will be useful in depending on the type of questions, and in MCQ also this is useful. I hope this relation between the zeros and the coefficient you got it, and verify the relation. First zeros, I repeat, zeros try to find linear as well as quadratic. Next class we'll try to find different types of the questions, exam oriented questions and previous year's questions, few most important questions with exercise also. We'll do the exercise and few important questions. Have a good day.